Now here's a Al Gore quote. Yeah, he doesn't like those special interests when they're preventing him from getting what he wants. He's not getting the government he wants. He's looking at special interests such as the coal industry that's saying, no, we don't want government to tax our major our product, coal, based on CO2 emissions. And he says, quote, the influence of special interests is now at an extremely unhealthy level. It's to the point where it's virtually impossible for participants in the current political system to enact any significant change without first seeking and gaining permission from the largest commercial interests who are the most affected by the proposed change. Well, Al, let's start thinking about the free market here. Hillary Clinton, a free market moment. People say all the time we can't pick winners and losers. Well, then fine. Take every single dollar of subsidies out of the federal tax code. Get rid of it all. Let's have a real level playing field where no one gets a penny in subsidies. Very interesting, okay? All right. All right. Now, if she had only beat Obama for the Democratic nomination, we wouldn't even have this group, Joe. We'd be playing golf. Toward heroic capitalism. And this is a concept that I think is real important. We're playing so much defense. Why not play offense? Why not look at your fellow entrepreneurs and go, you're even better than I thought you were. You're just producing things for the market and all these goods and services. That is fantastic. I just want to give you a sip out of my water glass and thank you. But I think what we all want in our businesses and the economy as a whole is to get out of this boom and bust, the artificial booms, the corrective bust, where there's very little progress, maybe negative progress, and get to more of a sustainable situation where, sure, there's ups and downs. That's a creative destruction of the market, but overall there's more growth. And some of the leading libertarians and capitalist thinkers have given us a roadmap for heroic capitalism. Adam Smith, he wrote a book before The Wealth of Nations called The Theory of Moral Sentiments, where he has all sorts of great insights on businesses that succeed in personal success. And a real hero I didn't know about until recently, Samuel Smiles. He wrote a book in 1865 called Self-Help. It was the creation of the self-help movement that goes all the way to Oprah Winfrey today. And he had a book for people that would go to the workplace where you weren't tilling the soil, you were actually going inside somewhere and there was other people around you, and you either had a manager or you were the manager. And he just talks about the virtues of success, and he was very much a libertarian, and he grasped the idea of heroic capitalism. Ayn Rand, I think objectivism, objective reality, tough love, I think is very important for understanding capitalist business. And one of the most important books, I think, of modern times is, and maybe some of you have heard of it, The Science of Success by Charles Koch, where he goes from the science of liberty to the science of success and talks about how Koch Industries has prospered because of it. John Mackey, kind of on the left at Whole Foods, and I've had debates with him, and a lot of it's semantics. He wants to just take the language of the left and turn it into pro-capitalist language, like that businesses should be socially responsible and all that. I get scared when I hear social responsibility. I don't know what it means. And Adam Smith even said, watch out when a business is, the main reason they do something is we're good. But Mackey said, before I started my business, my political philosophy was that business is evil and government is good. But once you start meeting a payroll, you have to have a different attitude about the role of business in society. And I've been in meetings. I was in a meeting once with a businessman with a bunch of academics, and it didn't go well. And I gave a proposal, and my proposal was rejected. And the businessman with me, we were leaving, he shook his head, and He said, none of those people have ever met a payroll. You know, and that's very interesting. You see the world differently if you're actually in business and meet a payroll. Heroic Enterprise. This is a book by John Hood, now with the John Locke Foundation in North Carolina. And the book came out some time ago, but this book and Charles Koch's The Science of Success, I think, have a lot of good ideas about heroic enterprise and how we need to think of free market capitalism so differently than political capitalism and rent-seeking. Are corporations obtaining their profits through force or fraud? Or through voluntary consumer service? Are corporations putting the investment at their disposal to the most economically productive use? I remember tough old Lee Raymond of ExxonMobil, they asked him, well, why isn't ExxonMobil investing in the wind and solar business? He said, you know, I could spend 40, 50, 60 million dollars on that, but it's just not a good thing for me to do for shareholders. He was a tough guy. And there's not many like him. Are corporate managers fulfilling their contractual obligations to shareholders by allocating resources and investments to achieve the highest return to those who supply equity and liability to the enterprise? And there's a lot of businesses today that are trying to be politically correct. They'll spend a little money on some initiative. It doesn't turn out well. Some of it is just marketing PR. So we're going to need to get the public to understand better that so-called green energy really isn't green, for example. Are corporate managers competing successfully for workers and customers by employing innovative technologies and management strategies to be productive and safe and avoiding racial and other prejudices? It's pretty hard in a free market to make money by behaving badly, I would say. Are corporations upholding and defending the principles of voluntary exchange, free markets, and societal division of labor on which their existence is predicated? And there hadn't been that. There's been way too many corporations that have been very much advocates for government programs, green jobs, and the rest of it. But there was a headline just the other day, the head of Chevron, the chairman of Chevron, and Chevron's in San Francisco, and they run these full-page ads that aren't very good. Like, are corporations interested, should corporations be interested in other things than profits? The answer, yes, and all the rest of it. Well, he came out the other day and said that we need to think of energy in terms of affordability and reliability for the masses, and we need to de-emphasize all this green energy stuff that isn't working. And Solyndra really helped us with that. Solyndra is just an absolute a manna from heaven for a lot of us that have been fighting this thing forever. But there's so few real capitalists. There's some in the room here. Lee Raymond was a tough guy. I miss him. Rex Tillerson at ExxonMobil I like, but Lee Raymond was special. John Allison of BB&T, who's funding a lot of free market programs around the country. And certainly Charles Koch, and I don't know how many of you know much about Charles Koch, but if it wasn't for Charles Koch, I probably wouldn't be here today. He has supported me indirectly through his foundations for, since about 80, 81. That's a long time ago. See, the Botox is working. How are we on time? I can talk to you about Enron. I'll do it real quickly and we'll open it up to questions. Well, I was there for 16 years. Last 7 years I was Ken Lay's speechwriter. And we're all making a lot of money. We all have a lot of Enron stock. But through it all I'm going, you know, boy, there's a lot of hype around this company. And boy, are we using a lot of government intervention for our profit centers. And I said, something's not wrong, but if you're making a lot of money and you have a lot of stock, you do want to be optimistic, right? And we had a mantra that we were first movers, and first movers make a lot of mistakes, but when we hit, we make a lot of money, so it's okay, creative destruction. But Enron, in retrospect, and then when Enron collapses, the left goes, well, this is capitalism. Paul Krugman, Robert Kuttner Kuttner came out and said that free market economists need to find another job. You know, wow. But you look closely at Enron, and Enron was a creature of the mixed economy. You know, we got all the awards. It was everyone's favorite company. There's everything, all the statistics on here. The one thing that's missing is cash flow. I hear that's the thing. Business people tell me cash flow is pretty important. You know, as versus accounting profits and the rest of it, money in. But this is a lecture I give on itself, but virtually all of Enron's profit centers had something to do with government intervention, whether it was domestic, with mandatory open access, with where we could use other people's pipelines and transmission access. Enron was at the front of green energy. Enron's energy strategy is Obama's energy strategy today. Enron saved the United States wind industry by buying, there are two companies, both of them were in trouble. One of them went bankrupt. Enron bought the other one and capitalized it. Enron, I can tell you the two Enron lobbyists that got a renewable quota in the Texas electricity restructuring law of 1999 that has fueled the wind power boom in Texas and the United States. There's more wind in Texas now than California, all because of government policy at the point of a gun. A lot of infrastructure development in developing countries, high-risk countries. Enron was all over the place, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing that Enron was a master at was gaming complex regulatory structures. The corporate tax department, they thought of themselves as a profit center. And I go, well, what's that about, Bob Herman? He said, well, close the door. He said, at the end of a quarter, we need to make some money to make our numbers. We have to show more profit. So he'll get a phone call saying, we need $200,000. So he would get in touch with boutique accounting firms, with lawyers, and they would figure out some convoluted way through with the federal tax law, a lease buyback with the headquarters building. So they'd spend $50,000 and save $250,000 so they could show a $200,000 gain. So they thought of themselves as a profit center. So the corporate tax rules, you know, 40,000 pages, you can find something in there. You want to spend a lot of money, you can find something. And with accounting, with GAAP accounting, there's accounting profits, GAAP accounting profits, which can be very fictitious. And Enron took something called mark-to-market and turned it into mark-to-model, where you enter into long-term contracts, you make some assumptions way out, and you suddenly your long-term contract becomes profitable, and you take it all in the current quarter. And they were actually structuring uneconomic deals so they could show profits right now. So the mentality of this rent-seeking political capitalist company is not only getting special government favors for all its business units, but they are gaming complex accounting tax structures.
Follow-up question. To me, it seems as if you want to use a non-portable or not easily transportable commodity for your